Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manoj Agarwal, and today we have my good friend Dr. Sherry McAllister with us. Dr. McAllister is a dynamic global voice for chiropractic care and whole being health. As the president of the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress, she leads one of the largest healthcare education movements in the world, representing over 39,000 members across 48 state associations and 4 continents. With nearly 3 decades of clinical experience, Dr. McAllister is a sought after international speaker, trusted healthcare strategist, and frequent media contributor featured in Forbes, Stewart Living, Newsweek, Becker's Spine Review, Women's World, and on every major US television network. Her leadership has propelled award winning national and global campaigns that have earned prestigious honors, including multiple Gold Stevie Awards, Global Gold Awards, and the Telly Award for the Tokyo Olympics chiropractic commercial. Host of the acclaimed Adjusted Reality podcast, Dr. McAllister blends science, inspiration, and strategy to position chiropractic at the forefront of healthcare transformation. With a career defined by vision, integrity, and results, she's reshaping the public conversation around health, empowering doctors and inspiring patients to embrace a drug free, whole being approach to optimal living. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you so much, Manoush, for having me. It's absolutely delightful to be with you.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get started. You are a big proponent of whole being care. You have written this amazing book, Adjusted Reality, and this is going. It's almost like a revolutionary thought about moving away a little bit from the symptom-based care to whole being care. So before I kind of uh, we dive into all this, can you help us understand what are these concepts? How did you come about these? And what is your vision for the future of healthcare using these paradigms?
The whole being concept really is a concept that was derived 130 years ago, which is the
Wow.
chiropractic philosophy. And it did not determine how a body responds based on the medication it's taking. It determined that all bodies are vital and they have the ability to actually innately begin to heal themselves, given the right
Mhm,
environment. Now, in today's world, that's not often always the case. Obviously, there's parameters that get set in that, but what's happened over the course of the last 130 years is we began segmenting our bodies, segmenting them into, okay, I have a kidney specialist, I have a skin specialist, I have a heart specialist. What's getting lost is this concept of whole being care. And really, what the key to whole being care is that we need to recognize that there is an intricate interplay between the direct things that happen to us and the indirect physiological processes that really
mhm,
are necessary for us to be in this dynamic, ever changing environment. So,
mhm,
we need to be able to maintain our integral health, meaning how we can heal, how we can respond in a whole being care environment, which is what doctor has the ability to assist you that's not focused on a specific area of your body, and that's where whole being care was really
mhm,
birthed. And I think for the most part, after talking to thousands of people, that simple explanation is almost kind of a beautiful epiphany of, you're right. I don't know if there is someone I can talk to about my whole being, meaning not symptom based, but how do I get to the place where I'm optimizing my health and
mhm.
not looking at symptom care and a pill for every ill?
Amazing. So it sounds like, because I see, we have a lot of entrepreneurs from different industry, different fields. I see this kind of trend uh, uh, originating from the industrial era that everything has to be specialized, everything has to be kind of, you need to go deep into one specific area. and not just healthcare, in education, in industrial manufacturing, everywhere. So given that we are here, that we are the healthcare system is based on symptom based care, and in our previous conversations we were estimating there's about $4 trillion every year spent, and majority of it is spent on like mental health and those type of aspects. So given that you are leading tens of thousands of doctors, how are they kind of like adopting this paradigm of providing a whole being care to their patients?
Script number one for them is do what we always do, just do it in a way that people actually get it. And
Mhm,
that's why we actually came together as the foundation to provide an opportunity for a global movement, which is the adjusted reality movement. Is the doctors of chiropractic have been literally based their entire practice on the 7 pillars that we find in the adjusted
mhm,
reality book.
mhm,
People miss the big picture when it's not marketed well. And so we needed to be able to have a brander who would walk the walk with us. And Forbes is a brand that globally everybody understands and can relate to in some way, shape, or form. So now being in this industry of being able to touch base with the media, they need to do it in a way that really gets attention. And so adjusted reality is for the doctors a way that they can now collaborate with a book so that when they start with, let's say, just chapter 1, the investment, what are you doing to invest in your health today?
mhm,
Because
mhm.
every chiropractor knows the how. The problem is the consumers don't know the why.
I
Why
see.
do I care and what difference does it make? And
Mhm,
once we bring that beautiful symphony together, someone who knows the how do I make your life better? How do I increase your health span, the quality of your life, the aspects of activities of daily living, to the why that is important, especially as you start to see people in their jobs, because they think about their jobs relative to their outcomes, which is their paycheck. That's
mhm,
that's fundamentally a flawed system. And now we're starting to recognize what are the flaws? How do we fix them?
mhm. Amazing. And you are not just stopping at the adjusted reality. You are actually on the forefront of like mixing advanced technologies like AI, and you have come up with this concept of adjusted intelligence. So tell us a little bit about that.
Adjusted intelligence is really a key. It started with the American Society for Artificial Intelligence anthology book that was launched at the World Economic Forum in February. And that really was a moment of reflection. And what I recognized through our foundation's work is that the future, what we do with artificial intelligence and how we link human biological intelligence cannot be separated.
Mhm,
If
mhm,
we're really going to use AI for humanity, which is the mission for the ASFAI goal,
mhm,
then we need to actually be able to come together and recognize what are the key aspects to human biological intelligence that can fundamentally be supported by artificial intelligence. And that's really how the whole concept started to move into fruition.
mhm. Amazing. You brought up a very important term right here: biological intelligence. And people who are in healthcare, I believe they may have an idea about what that term means, but for the general public, I don't think they understand how intelligent their body is. So can you dive a little bit deeper into this concept? uh, what do you mean by biological intelligence?
You are hitting the 7 pillars beautifully. So, when we talk about how our body responds and our capabilities to be in that place of momentum, of flourishing, of what I'd consider to be harmony, homeostasis is one piece that many people and scientists, before I became a chiropractor, my goal was to be a pediatric oncologist. And the understanding of what it meant scientifically to build processes, hypotheses, and then fundamentally support the creativity to go behind the research. Here's what I learned is that a scientist has to be able to pivot well and
Mhm,
understand that if you're on a grant and your research is showing you that your hypothesis is wrong, that's okay.
mhm.
And here's where I think we fail as a society is we downplay how our body responds and we upplay how we can externally involve the um, synthetics into our life.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
if our body is failing, there has to be a fix for it.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, here's the
yeah,
question. If there's a fix, are we getting to a symptom? Are we getting to a root cause? And that is where I like to take human biological intelligence. It is the intelligence of how the body heals, how the
yeah.
body responds, and how the body can fundamentally create the next layer of creativity. Because at some fundamental point, we need to recognize artificial intelligence will have to be in a place that supports the human and that, if we can at least agree that AI is not going to take over the world from a perspective of a human, that it's the human, the capability to be creative, adopt, emotionally feel. Many people are going to say that a computer can do that, but no better operating system exists in the world today in any way, shape, or form better than what we have right now, which is the human nervous system.
Absolutely, absolutely. I completely agree. So it sounds like, just to kind of unpack this, sounds like, the modern healthcare system has introduced these synthetic drugs and things like that to stimulate what they seem to be the right reaction in the body. But rather than stimulating it and causing side effects, we are not leveraging the innate qualities or abilities of human body to kind of heal itself, not only heal itself, but I actually make itself stronger to fight new pathogens or germs or what have you. Did I get that correct?
You're spot on.
Mhm,
And now we have a moment to recognize how do we optimize? Because right now we're chasing our tail. If you
mhm,
look at
mhm,
the healthcare system, what an oxymoron.
mhm,
And
mhm.
moron is the key word because we're not making a dent in how people are responding to the world's external impact
Mhm,
because we're focused in healthcare on a specific piece, which is an ICD code.
mhm,
And
mhm,
everybody out there in this world is like, "Well, I don't know what that is."
mhm,
That is the International Classified Disease Code. In order for a doctor to be paid,
mhm,
they need to come up with an ICD code, which means the only way a doctor can literally get paid by an insurance company is if you're sick or broken. Think
mhm,
of how fundamentally flawed that system is. That doesn't even come close to what a human operating system really has. And if we could start to optimize it, like break down and adjust your reality to a true
mhm,
health care system, one that actually looks at you as you are today to where you can go tomorrow, that doesn't have sick care and symptoms, but rather focuses on our biological biomarkers. What would those be? And
mhm.
where could we take them?
Yeah.
And now we have this adjusted intelligence, the analogs that say we can create. And if we create, we can respond. And if we
Mm,
respond, we can level up. And
yeah.
that's the impact. And that's where I think, if you think about Albert Einstein's quote, it's imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yes. Yes.
Knowledge is limited and imagination encircles the world. Can we encircle the world with the imagination of a true health
Mhm,
system to
mhm.
support each other?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds quite disruptive, but I think the benefits are immense. So, how do you plan to go about doing this? Like, it it sort of is going against the establishment and everything. So, what's your plan?
Well, Manoj, I love that you said that because its effect is really the affect. You have to go against the establishment. If the establishment does not hear you, you scream louder and then you pivot. So, in order to get this off the ground, we need to have fundamentally people read adjusted reality because that's going to set the marker place. We cannot be in groupthink because that destroys every ounce of what a human being really is. Our vitality is linked to our adjusted reality. And when we start to push back and say, I don't want to be sick to have to go to a doctor to get what I want to optimize my life, then we have the ability to make a movement. And right now, Manoj, what's happening is the book was launched, and now we're seeing it in places we've never thought even possible, and countries that we never even knew were interested in it. It's
Mm,
about being able to take control as an individual of who you are. And then now we can start to see what we can do to really ensure that we're not focusing on the last the last symptom that we take into the doctor, but we're focusing on how the doctor can look at me. And one example, Manoush, that I think will make this more real for your listeners is we're getting a lot of questions now about sleep hygiene. What does it mean and how does it
mm,
impact
mhm.
me? And people, when they start to recognize that you go to sleep at night and your operating system reboots, it
Yeah.
actually fundamentally starts to say, okay, we're now on the next operating system, and you need to be able to accept that. Well, no one really gives a thought about that. They just say, okay, accept my new operating system is on my phone. Here's where the problem comes. What if you never plugged your phone in again and you
Mm,
never updated its operating system? We all know what's gonna happen.
mm,
Battery's gonna die, no energy. Think about that fundamentally, no energy. Second part is you're not going to be operating at its best because you haven't uploaded the next operating system.
mhm,
Now, take away your cell phone because we all understand that, and now think about your body. Fundamentally, you cannot operate without replenishing all the hormones, the enzymes, and all of the important aspects of replenishment for your body for the next day unless you get sleep. Deep
mhm,
REM sleep and then the superficial sleep that helps us get to the deep sleep. And that's the replenishment cycle. Sleep hygiene is your body's ability to literally get the operating system ready for the next day. And
mhm.
yet we
Mm.
think, "Oh, yeah, I heard about this silly I need to get 7 to 9 hours," and they think it's silly. Well, good luck in not charging your phone for the day and then think your tomorrow is gonna be a better day. It's
Yeah,
not gonna happen.
yeah.
And so we started talking about sleep hygiene as something that chiropractic has been specializing in for decades now, and how to get the proper sleep. Like, think about most people, they don't even think about their pillow, but, like, if
Yeah.
your pillow is older than 2 years old, think about just fundamentally the dust mites. Even if
Mhm.
you throw your pillow in the wash, are you making it better or making it worse? So,
Yeah.
upgrading your pillow because are you the same as you were 2 years ago? Absolutely not.
Mm,
From traumas that happen to stress to your body's own ability to change. And then
yeah.
people don't realize something really important. If you go to sleep at night and you are uncomfortable, how good was that operating system update? It's like, with your phone, it just slows down and it didn't get the full operating system. That's fundamentally broken. That's a bad place. So, just talking about how we replenish our bodies at night, while it seems really just totally minutia, it's so fundamentally perspective wise a huge part of what we are and who we are the next day.
Absolutely. I agree. But here is my, I will maybe play a devil's advocate here, maybe push back a little bit, because revolutions historically is going upstream, and they take a lot of force and friction, but there is already a downstream kind of downstream method, which is aligning, as you said, aligning what people want. People want success. People want more income. People want, you know. Fame, all these things. If you can show that whatever you said, sleep hygiene and your full body care, all that is actually linked with what they want already, then won't that be an easier path?
Well, getting what you want and wanting what you get don't
Mhm,
necessarily happen. And
mhm,
that's where I think we need to step back for a second and ask ourselves, when we get the money, what do we really want? Because
mhm,
what I
mhm,
found is this, and I've heard it over and over again. is I waste my health to get my wealth.
Mhm, mhm.
And then I use my wealth to get
Yes,
back my health.
yes,
And
yes,
that
yes.
and that's where I think we have to have that moment. Like, you think about the great people that have come before us. Did we learn
Mhm,
from them? That's true wisdom. And Socrates was one of them.
mhm,
And one of his statements was, contentment is natural wealth. Think about
mm.
that word contentment.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And luxury is artificial poverty.
Yes, yes.
That's a moment to stop and reflect. Am I
Mhm.
content with my day? Am I content with my life? Because money, I know this is gonna be hard for some entrepreneurs right now. Money does not make us happy. Money bridges the road to continue what we can do to make ourselves happy. And there's a book that came out a few years back, and it was about happiness. And they found that happiness was not in getting things. Happiness was the experience that comes with the things. For example, if a woman wants a pair of Jimmy Choo shoes and she buys them online, every day she's thinking about the beauty of these wonderful shoes. Okay, where she's going to wear them, what outfit she's going to wear them with, and she gets excited about that. That's really true happiness, is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
excitement that comes. Putting on the shoe, sure, the first time is gonna be great, but then that kind of lackluster beauty of it, of those shoes, are gonna wear off, like many things in life, and you're gonna tuck them away in your closet, and then those Jimmy Choo shoes are no longer gonna bring you the happiness. That is fundamentally what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you start thinking about your health, and as it relates to your business, which I would call the physiological runway, a lot of us think about the capital runway because we're so busy trying to make the money, make the money. Capital runway, how long can my company survive before it runs out of money? You think
Mhm,
about the biology of it, the physiological runway is how long can my body sustain the
mhm.
output before it starts to break down. That's adjusted reality, the sleep
Yeah.
reserves, the nervous system, how much your heart rate variability is stable. What are your hormone balances? Because, like, women change in their from going from the menstrual cycle all the way to menopause. Men do too. They just don't
Mhm,
recognize the impact
mhm,
on the
mhm.
hormones and what happens to your muscles.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, you touch upon so many good points right there. One thing I will pick up on that, the story that you mentioned about the woman buying a pair of shoes, and actually, it's not the shoes; it's the story that is happening in her mind.
Yes.
And you brought up a very key indicator, heart rate variability. And we did a little experiment earlier to understand the stories that are happening in our mind and how it affects HRV and overall health, and how AI can play a big role. So can you shed a little bit light on these, like, small little things that every human mind is going through all day, every minute of the day, and yet we don't realize what is actually happening? So can you shed some light on all this?
Critical component is cortisol. And we've
Mm,
heard it in the media, and maybe some of us still don't know. So I always take you where you are to where you want to go. So, cortisol is our stress hormone. It is absolutely fundamental to being human. Cortisol rate really is how fast you're spending stress chemistry. Okay. So the entrepreneurs can kind of come with me on this. You think about the burnout rate for many people in life. Well, it's about cortisol. You think about the burn rate in a business, it's how fast you're spending money. So I want to really bring everyone in from every walk of life that is listening right now. So you think about your cortisol level when it starts to become chronic. What happens to you in that moment? And that's how your HRV is impacted, because there's the fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. We're monitoring the variabilities. So when you have a very strong cortisol burn, meaning you're constantly on fire and you're really stressed out, it actually impairs your cognition, which I think is something, Manoj, that you just touched on, is the storytelling, what your brain is telling you, well, now you're starting to walk away from the creativity of who you are. That
Mhm.
storytelling starts to decline. Your sleep starts to decline. And then as things start to go downhill, like all things, it's like an avalanche. It's a
Mhm.
small thing, but it starts to roll downhill. So now my
Mhm.
immune system starts impacting. Ask yourself this. You know this fundamentally as a human being. If you go days and days without sleep, you know you're walking into that dark place that
Mhm.
causes sickness. Because
Mhm.
you get on an airplane, for me, if I go 2 days without a really good sleep, I can get on an airplane and it doesn't matter what, there's gonna be someone coughing on the airplane and you know you're gonna get impacted. Why
Mhm.
is it that some people can get on an airplane and that really bad sickness gets on the airplane with you and only a few people never get it?
Mhm.
You have
Mhm.
to ask why. When you ask the why, the how matters. So the why is fundamentally some people actually have the immune systems that are ready to take it on. They have the stability in their mood to create that next step because when your neurological impairments start to creep in, then the body starts to go, I'm done. I am chronic stress mode. I'm always on. I have high urgency. I have reactive communication. So remember the gentle, kind, loving things that we do when we're being creative? No,
Mhm.
it's stop now. Don't talk to me. I need to put you on standby. Do you ever wonder why CEOs are so short in their communications? It's
Mhm.
because they're always in reactive mode. They're
Mhm.
always communicating with a constant decision load. They have to unhinge themselves to be creative from the environment they're in, and I heard that Elon Musk, he only takes 15-minute calls. That should tell you something. If one of the men in the world that has impacted the world, good or bad, don't care if you love him, don't care if you hate
Mhm.
him, but if
Mhm.
he's only saying, "I'm only taking a 15-minute call," that should tell you something about his cortisol burn rate. Basically, what he's saying is, "I'm no longer going to allow people to maximize my decline.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
need to grab hold of it. I need to reflect on it, and I need to be able to be creative and allow joy to come back into my life."
Mhm.
And if you're listening right now, joy has to be, as a human, what feeding yourself through food is. It's
Mhm.
nourishment.
Yeah.
Nourishment and replenishment equals contentment. And that's how the pillars of adjusted reality come into your life. It'll smack you down and it'll build you back up. But you have to be honest and authentic to who you are today to where you want to go tomorrow.
Amazing. Amazing answer. So I'm going to pick up on that word that you mentioned, joy, a little bit later. But let's give a little bit of a practical steps to people listening, because I know you are also a good proponent of devices like wearable devices and the data it can capture and how people can use that data to optimize their life. So can you tell us a little bit about that, like again, tracking basics like sleep and HRV and things like that? What do you suggest people can do today?
When you look at your HRV tracking and you understand where you are, fundamentally everybody's going to come at different levels. And that's key number one. You cannot compare. I can't compare myself to you, Manoush. My body is different biochemistry wise. I'm a female, you're a male. My BMI index is very different than yours. And so too is just like life. Like look at your hand. My fingerprint is very different.
Mhm.
So as an individual who's sitting there today and you're monitoring your tracking devices, you're going to want to be able to determine your HIV tracking. You're also going to want to map the environment. Now, most people are like, how does that work? There's this fundamental word called exposome. It's how
Mhm.
our body relates to the environment and the impact that it has on us.
Mhm.
So, as you go through, you're going to be able to track some of these pieces. But here's the thing that I've always questioned too. Tracking is good and only as good as what you're going to do about it. So let's say you learned that you had a really bad night's sleep. Fundamentally, that's good news that you understand that you've had a really bad night's sleep. And I mean that not with tongue in cheek, but like once you recognize it, so too shall you then adopt action.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stress enough how action makes things change. And so once you recognize that you had a poor sleep, there's things that you can do physiologically that can change the rest of your day. You will need to know that going out for a high impact, intense workout, not a good idea
Mm-hmm.
because your body is tired. And if you fatigue an already fatigued system, fundamentally, where do you end up? You end up misaligned. And that's why I love paralleling chiropractic in the alignment of lifestyle to the alignment physiologically. Here's what we see happen for many people. And just give you a story. So you go into a system where you know you're going to have to carry 50 pounds. You're going to take a hike in the
Mm-hmm.
mountains. You know you're going to have to carry 50 pounds. Manoj, you're really bright. You have intelligence. So you understand that the shifting of the load is going to be best in a backpack. Okay. And you do all the lifestyle things that you know are right and just for a 50-pound mountain climb. Backpack on, you got a waist strap on to distribute into your core. You've got them balanced on both sides of your shoulders. And you recognize looking down inhibits your breathing. So you're always looking at a 23 to 40-degree impact in front of you, meaning you're looking to the horizon. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
metaphorical, but it's a reality. If you're looking down when you walk, what's going to happen? You're going to miss the environment, the exposome. You're going to miss the ability to use your diaphragm to breathe in. Now I'm going to come on the walk with you, Manoj. I've got 50 pounds. Only I'm going to carry it on one shoulder. I'm going to do it in high heels. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do it with a um, opportunity to carry my infant on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
We're both going on this walk together, and you're like, "That doesn't look good." Yet she's carrying the weight of another human being, a small infant, and she's got 50 pounds on the other side, and she's in high heels, and she's gonna walk this mountain with me? No way. We see dangers like that every single day, and
Mm-hmm.
that is why it's so fundamentally important to use what we learn in our wearables to change our life, because the wearables are no good if you do nothing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
now your wearable told you, "Manoj, not a good day to do a hike in the mountains." Maybe if you have to do the hike, you say to yourself, "Okay, I'm gonna lessen the weight to 20 pounds. I'm gonna put on my custom-made orthotics that support the 3 arches of my foot because I know on the kinematic chain, it impacts my ankle, my knee, and my low back. Makes it easier for me to make the next step. And I'm gonna nourish myself really well. I'm going to actually do a little more vitamins. I'm going to talk to my doctor about what I was missing before. Because remember, I'm a fingerprint, I'm a thumbprint of myself and only myself. So, Manoj, you might need more magnesium, more
Mm-hmm.
potassium. How would you know? Here's where it comes in because you're on a health care path when you walk that mountain path. You're actually going to your doctor to say, "How can I optimize my health?" And you know what? Fundamentally, he takes a look at you and he says, Manoj, did you recognize that your hips, one hip is higher than the other?" And you're like, "Say what? What does
Yeah.
that mean?" Well, you've been sitting for 8 hours doing your podcasting and you've been balancing yourself more on your left than your right. So
Mm-hmm.
now an alignment issue from a kinematic chain perspective comes up. So now I ask you, how good are the wearables if you don't have a doctor
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
is with you and for you and about you because you're a fingerprint to help you get up the mountain with your 50 pounds? Maybe not today, but maybe in the future, you actually put 100 pounds on because you're stronger, you're better aligned, you're more focused, and you're looking at the horizon.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a difference.
yeah. There you go. Like small little changes like that can have huge, huge impacts, right? So now let's get back to the point about joy and also what is happening with AI. AI has taken all of us by surprise, and the rate that it is growing, I don't think even the experts can keep up, right? And now there is a lot of talk about a global kind of disruption, job loss, those type of things, and it's already, you can see the global sort of anxiety rising, among the population. So a technology that is supposed to help us is actually, you mentioned creativity, you mentioned joy, you mentioned anxiety. These kind of things are actually can be directly related to what's happening with AI. And also the positives of AI could be, things like we discussed earlier. How can we change the stories that are happening in our mind? How can we create, like, we experimented with the concept of digital twins, where we can create a digital twin of ours and interact with it to optimize our health. So can you tell us, like, where AI is taking us, what is happening with what majority of the people are doing with AI, and what will be kind of the right way to use AI for one thing that you mentioned, brain health. You mentioned that you discovered this concept in Davos. So can you tell us a little bit about all this?
When we think about joy, a lot of people take a back seat. They're a little uncomfortable with the word joy because they're not embracing all of what it really means.
Mhm.
And this is how we actually differentiate artificial intelligence to humans. We can play. We can have gratitude. We can have vision. We can really connect with the person who I'm talking to as a podcast. I feel emotions. I can create. Creativity is part of who we are. And love, that word cannot be underestimated. And to see the love that happens around the world in various ways is what makes us different from the artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
So when we start thinking about that fear-based perception that, the adjusted reality or adjusted intelligence is only one piece because adjusted artificial intelligence is going to take over, there we have fear. What does fear
Mhm.
produce? We just talked about it. It produces cortisol. Now
Mhm.
let's talk about joy. What does joy create? And joy really brings in oxytocin and dopamine. Now, as we start to move through our lives, we need to use joy and human interaction to be able to ensure that we put the guardrails on artificial intelligence. How do we do that? Every aspect of our lives has a human ability to understand, create, and build our joy. So, one of the pieces that I'm seeing is how do we as humans nourish our brains? How do we fuel our brains?
Mhm.
And that becomes a brain economy. And when we were at the World Economic Forum, one of the leadership said, it was a very bright statement, is that we should have care before cures.
Mhm.
Think about that. That is a very important and sharpened quote for anybody who can see that joy is not a luxury. Who we think about the people around the world that really don't have all of the technology that we have. Your joy doesn't come from all the technology, doesn't come from all of the latest gadgets and gadgets. Your joy actually comes from the ability for you to be creative, for you to look inside, to adopt what that means. Because when you fuel the brain, you're going to free some of the stored stress that you're having. You're going to be able to be creative, which means restoring that signal clarity that is so important to all your party. And then gratitude. I've never met anybody who's truly in a joyful state that hasn't had gratitude. And you think of some of the yogis around the world, their first and foremost opportunity to start their day is through meditation.
Mhm.
Many meditative moments come to be to live in gratitude, to
Mhm.
find the beauty of where they are today.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. That's amazing. So it seems like you are on the cutting edge of not only healthcare but AI, and you are leading the charge in many ways. Um, and so, l- last few minutes, let's paint a picture. Let's paint a vivid vision of what the world will look like if everything goes right as per your plan.
If we as a society can actually adopt an opportunity to be our best, then we're going to be able to have a better connectivity. Human to human interaction is why we fundamentally came to this spot. Is we wanted the social media to connect because that's what humans do. The greatest part of who we are is we connect with our human beings to be able to share some of the biggest gifts we have in life. What
Mhm,
are they? Faith that we can produce for another human and help them, faith that we can do better, have better, and be better. We have hope. And then hope is part of where some people that have had misfortunes, they need the hand of what we have. That when you talk about the future, how do you create a future that doesn't have hope? You can't cope. I mean, it's part of it. And in order through some of the neurological components of our brain to have hope, we actually need someone else to help us.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And when you can recognize that, it's logistically why so many of the psychotherapies are so effective is because you're talking to me and with me and you're bringing me up. You're making me see things that I didn't recognize or see before. And you're allowing me to get from the past to the present. And
mhm,
I love that the words are so well used that the past is gone
mhm, mhm,
and you can't change the past. The future's not here yet. So you can only be anxious about it because you're trying to get there. But the present, that actual word is such a beautiful word because it really is your present. It's your
mhm,
present to yourself. If
mhm.
you are fully immersed in today, tomorrow will come and it'll be just as glorious. So when I think about the future, I think about faith, hope, and love. How do
Mm,
I love my community, my family, and myself? How can I build hope for people that need the love and the ability to be lifted up? Because we've got some pretty ugly wars out there right now,
mhm,
wars that really need to be solved, and true suffering. And then faith that we actually can do what we think we can do, that moonshot into a beautiful, bright tomorrow where we can be more creative, but also very strong. And we don't take for granted the seven pillars of adjusted reality that we really do move forward with the greatest opportunity to build our kinematic chain, our musculoskeletal, and our nervous system. Our brain adapts and our body will follow. Do
yeah,
not underestimate the power of your brain because we don't even know how it is mapped. We're
yeah,
still in the mapping process of how it works.
yeah.
So the future's bright. I'm so excited for if we use guardrails to keep artificial intelligence in its rightful place, which is to fundamentally improve humanity, we will be in a brilliant spot for a
Amazing.
brilliant future.
And so, just looking downstream, as we go down this path, you mentioned wars. You mentioned, we have so many problems. As the downstream effects of this vision, do you anticipate that we'll have a world without disease, without war, without that much suffering? I think suffering is a part of life, but artificial suffering that we yeah, sort of inflict on ourselves, that may be optional. What do you think?
So you mentioned this word, and I think it's a word that gets used in both business and in health, and it's called downstream.
Mhm,
So when we think about healthcare right now, the downstream is the disease diagnosis. What's the ICD code? What prescription do you have in your medicine cabinet? Do you need to get surgery? When I start thinking about downstream things, it is real because it's today. But when I start thinking of upstream things, I want to look at how we as human beings can start looking at the downstream pieces and then start shifting into this new world where we pivot to a better nervous system because the brain is number one.
Mhm.
Brain gets to be in charge of the heart. Now, most people don't recognize that. But if you go into the hospital and your brain stops, you are functionally dead. If your
Mhm.
heart stops, we can try restarting it. We can do that. But you know, what's interesting is think about it. Have you ever had anybody try to restart your brain? Said no one ever. So we
Yeah.
have to start with what we know, cognitive clarity. If we're going to be clearer thinkers, we need to be able to be the best decision makers we can be. That's fundamentally brain. Then we have to look at what we are doing emotionally. Can we emotionally embrace happiness? And that to me is a balanced stress response because you brought something up very beautiful. You're right. In order to see beauty, you have to see ugly. It sounds funny, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's the yin and yang in our lives. We
Mhm.
have to have some type of stress in our life because stress can be good. But it's not good when you're spending $4 trillion on chronic disease.
Mhm.
That's gotta stop. That's sick. This is a
Mhm.
sick care system that is not gonna be effective. But what the ultimate piece for us is, can we take what we know now, chronic stress, which narrows what we do and what we think and what we are, to expand how we can use artificial intelligence to help our perceptions. Remember, it's perceived what we think is beautiful and
Mhm.
joyful, to
Mhm.
have better ability to be flexible in how we think creatively. And that comes down to something beautiful, which is neuroplasticity.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Harry, for coming to this show and sharing these deep thoughts. I know you are somebody not only kind of thinking about all this, writing about all this, you're actually doing a lot to make it happen. So I'm really glad to be part of this journey in whatever shape or form. And now, before I let you go, can you tell us if people want to connect with you, want to collaborate with you, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Find my LinkedIn account, Dr. Sherry McAllister, and please link in with me there. Also, if you're looking, if today's the day and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I hear what she's saying. I want to find the adjusted reality, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, anywhere you buy your books, you can find adjusted reality. It's so widespread now that you just have to put the words in and it'll pop up.
Mhm.
Our podcast is available too to really get that started. But if today's the day where you want a physiological alignment to your lifestyle, then you can find a doctor of chiropractor. I know that might be very like a big step for many, but you can go to our website, the number 4cp.org/find a doctor. Today's the day to take action. And that's why I came on your podcast today, Manoj. It's about action. It's
Yeah,
about deeds, not words.
yeah, absolutely. We'll put those links in the show notes for people to find it easily. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Manoj.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.